Hey guys, welcome to yet another episode of Auto Connect. And as I usually tell you, Auto Connect is the only car channel that will guarantee you an alluring motor vehicle experience. And I'll be your host, Eric Wakabi, Eric with a CK. Remember, you can follow me at a personal level on Facebook, X, Instagram, and TikTok. My handle is Eric Wakabi. Before we start today's review, I would like to big up all our Ugandan followers and tell them that we have a very pleasant surprise coming their way, but we are going to talk about that in our subsequent episode. Now, today we have a very interesting vehicle lined up for you guys. It's a vehicle that many enthusiasts love, and it has evolved into something that we no longer put into our hearts. It has evolved into something that is no longer interesting, but we still love it. So in 1997, Subaru started production of the Subaru Forester. In fact, the Subaru Forester nameplate was born, and it started with the Subaru Forester SF that was built based on the Subaru Impreza. In fact, in Japan, it replaced what was called the Subaru Impreza Gravel Express. It was a lifted hatchback that you would go off-road in it. But now the Forester came in to stand in between the Impreza and the Outback. It was bigger than the Impreza, yet smaller than the Outback, and it was not only fast on road, it would also go off-road. Yes, and that is how it won the hearts of many. Now, the first generation of the Subaru Forester was the SF. But that was not it. In 2002, Subaru brought to life the best Subaru Forester that was ever made. In my opinion, this is the best Subaru Forester. There is nothing like it in the Forester lineage. And ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about the Subaru Forester SG. Now, the SG had the SG5 and the SG9. The SG9 was the performance variant, but the SG5 was more of a normal variant. However, in these variants of the Subaru Forester, something very interesting came up. There was another very interesting variant of it, and that is what we have today. This is called the Subaru Forester SG5 LL Bean Edition. So the question would be, what is LL Bean? And this is where the interesting bits about this car come in. What we have here is not just any Subaru Forester SG5. This is a Subaru Forester SG5 LL Bean Edition. So what is LL Bean? LL Bean is basically a fashion line or a clothing line. And on this other hand, Subaru is an automaker. So what brings an automaker and a clothing manufacturer together? Let me explain. I know it's a very awkward combination, but in the 90s towards the millennium, there was some funny trends in the Japanese car market. In fact, these trends go up way early, and it was about having a luxury wing of Japanese domestic cars or cars made in Japan. And that trend was exporting cars to the USA. Now, the USA market demanded for performance and luxury, and there was the perception that Japanese cars were only economical cars. So what happened? Toyota had its luxury wing, Lexus. Nissan had its luxury wing, Infiniti. And Honda had its luxury wing, Acura. So now Subaru wanted to change the perspective of the people of the United States of America about their cars. Now, Toyota had already done it, Honda and Nissan had already done it by introducing luxury wings. But the financial state of Subaru could not allow them to have a luxury wing. So what did they do? Uh, this company, LL Bean, is known to produce boots and leather jackets that are notoriously comfortable. So they thought, why don't we make our Subaru Outback notoriously comfortable? So who do we approach? Let's approach LL Bean to do our interiors. And that is how the Subaru LL Bean editions were born. And they officially went into the market in 2000 to start the millennium with a bang. Now the LL Bean edition started with the Subaru Outback. Now the Subaru Outback is loved in the US, all over the world, and it's a practical station wagon that can take you anywhere, and it's also known to be quite reliable as well. So Subaru took a top trim of the Subaru Outback, punched in a big engine that could produce 212 horsepower, and then LL Bean came and slapped in a very luxurious interior. However, the Outback has also continued to evolve, but as it has evolved, it has developed a very funny or weird niche. In physics, unlike poles attract, but like poles repel. So the Subaru Outback has got a niche by itself of magnets, a series of magnets whose like poles attract. I hope you know what I'm saying. Anyway, away from that. Now that is how the LL Bean edition of Subaru was born, and it shifted from the Outback and got even into the Subaru Forester. And today we want to see how different the Subaru Forester LL Bean is from the Kawaida Subaru Forester SG5. When we start with the prima facie, this is the 2004 Subaru Forester, and this was before the 2006 facelift. And in my opinion, I would like to also engage you in the comments. To me, this is the most beautiful Subaru Forester ever made. The 2006 facelift was good, but it was not as beautiful as this. And now the LL Bean came with dual tone. It came with a variety of colors, but my all-time favorite is this green over here. This particular one is a non-turbo, and one thing about the Subaru Forester that most people love is that it can go off-road. It has very good clearance. It has the body design of a station wagon, but the clearance of a crossover SUV. But unfortunately, it got to evolve into a crossover SUV simply because accountants, Subaru tried to shift the market to appeal to boring people. And that is how the Forester has turned to be not a very interesting car, not an enthusiast car, but these days the Forester crossover SUV is more of a mall crawler for people who just want to go point A to point B with their families. It's no longer about performance, but this was. And the most beautiful feature about these Subarus was the frameless doors. In fact, this was timeless. And remember, it's not only Subaru that had this design. We had Nissan also featured this design as well. And even it was a timeless design, and it was something that, these days cars do not have the character that they used to have back then. Now the LL Bean also comes with a different set of rims and size 18 tires. So that plus the clearance and Subaru symmetrical all-wheel drive, you can take this car even off-road. In fact, you can even go camping with this car. So it's a very versatile vehicle. It has ample legroom and even practicality. You can haul a lot of luggage in this vehicle. Now let's talk about the engine. Well, what makes the LL Bean different is not even the aesthetics, it's the interior. But since this is the SG5, we are going to talk about it. So Chuma Yadoshi, this is an all-time classic, and if you to understand how old we are getting, these cars are actually now approaching 20 years old. In fact, they are over 20 years old. So that is how old we are. And remember, there are times these Foresters were the in thing. But you see, the Subaru Forester has a special place in many enthusiasts, especially the SG5 and the SG9, because we knew them for performance, we knew them for, that youthful look. And even if we grow old, the Subaru Forester SG series will always look youthful. They'll remind us of the days when we loved speed, when we loved, cars, and maybe probably those days you'll be driving microwaves, electric vehicles. Anyway, let's talk about the engine that we have here. Under the hood of the SG5, we have an EJ20 engine. Now, these are flat 4 naturally aspirated. I know it is slow. There is nothing much to talk about the EJ20 without a turbocharger on it. But anyway, it was quite decent. And the other thing I keep on telling you guys, if you're buying these SG5s, always try to inquire when the timing kit was last replaced, because if they snap, then it's normally a very expensive affair. So this one is naturally aspirated. But if you want to have a more thrillful drive, you can get the EJ20 with a turbo on it, or even better, you can get a Subaru Forester SG9, the STI version of it. That was the craziest Forester that was ever built. Imagine a Subaru Forester that can go off-road and still challenge most cars that are deemed to be fast on the road. Now, the other thing that people loved about these Forester SG5s and SG9s is that you would modify them to almost infinitive levels. You would get crazy power outputs, and that is why these cars up to date are still very expensive, and it's also very hard to get a clean Subaru Forester SG5. Well, the Foresters came standard with Subaru symmetrical all-wheel drive. Yes, and we know two of the best all-wheel drive systems in the world include Audi Quattro and now Subaru symmetrical all-wheel drive. It was simply groundbreaking because, you see, for Subaru's symmetrical all-wheel drive, it's not only good on road, it's also commendably good off-road as well. So this one is the slow version of the Subaru Forester because it will not give you much power, but and also one thing that people don't like about these economy boxes of the SG5 is that they feature a 4-speed automatic transmission. If I was to buy an SG5, being an enthusiast, I would prefer it in manual. But these days, these things have become so rare, especially clean ones, that guys are even buying a shell to try and build it from scratch. Like, you just assemble it, you get it, you give it an STI power and drivetrain and make this car very fast. Now, where does the LL Bean factor come into? Ladies and gentlemen, voila, the interior. Now, LL Bean, I told you, LL Bean are known for some of the best, leather products in the industry. Their boots are comfortable, their leather jackets are very comfortable, and so they were given the responsibility to do the interior of the SG5, not the SG5, all Subarus that have an LL Bean tag, the LL Bean editions of the Subaru. And you can see, well, this car is over 20 years old, and you can, let me show you, you can see the LL Bean tag on the seat right here, LL Bean edition. And irrespective of the fact that this car is over 20 years old, yes, the leather has shown, signs of wear and tear, but it has still held up. I doubt most modern cars would have their leather hold up like this one. This vehicle is fairly original. In fact, this is one of the most original LL Beans I have seen. And we have got this car from Identity Cars, pale kwa Eric Identity, pale Ruiru Bypass. Namba yake iko hapa kama unataka kununua hii gari. Now, the other thing is the infotainment system. Well, since the original infotainment failed, Eric aliweka kengine pale kale to make sure you have music, but the original infotainment system even had a remote. Yes, this remote is over 20 years old. So this was the special bits about the LL Bean edition. So apart from the leather, did you know that the Subaru Forester SG5 LL Bean edition came with heated seats? Mnajua wase wengi meona heated seats kwa Mazda Axela. No, a car that is more than 20 years old came with heated seats. Now, this is technology that back then heated seats were a big deal. And in as much as in Kenya they are not a very useful feature, the LL Bean had them. Now, there's something I would also like to remind you guys of. These Subaru Foresters, if you're a Forester enthusiast, there were some really off-road oriented ones that had even a lever to shift it to low range and high range when it comes to the all-wheel drive system. But this one is more advanced, doesn't have that, and it has the intelligent Subaru all-wheel drive that will get you, this is not an extreme off-roader. This is more of a soft roader. And one thing you will realize, I told you guys I love green, and you guys have been following our Isuzu Trooper restoration. You will notice that the color we have put on our Trooper is the color that is on the Subaru Forester LL Bean edition. Yeah, that is how special this color is to us. Well, the other thing about the Subaru Forester is that it was not only based on performance. It was not only for, it was not only a mall crawler. Now, when Subaru were designing the Forester, because the Forester became an independent model in around the 2002 thereabout, because before that it was based on the Forester. But now it became an independent model that was, entirely based on itself. So right here, this is the LL Bean. You can see the Japanese tags right here. It's still very original, but this guy is still very original, and you have the LL Bean badge. In fact, this vehicle is not an LL Bean without this LL Bean edition badge right here. Now, they also came with this camera that is normally here, but hii imetoka. It is normally for, back then we didn't have reverse cameras, but you would use your rear view mirror to see, or to try and monitor obstacles at the back by looking through your rear view mirror and getting the reflection from this mirror that is here. In fact, it was on so many vehicles. The X-Trail had it, the Toyota Hiace had it. So many vehicles had that camera over there. And to me, it looked very trendy. I loved it because it's conservatively classic. Now, I was telling you that the Forester SG series was also very practical. It had ample boot space. You can haul a lot with this, and it also had this very interesting splitter. So I told you, so you can put the light stuff over here and the heavy stuff ukuchini. You can cover what you have here using this. And look at how original this car is. It's very hard to find this on almost, over 20 years old Subaru. Also, you have power outputs up and down, and a speaker right here with the badge Forester on it. And these are purely LL Bean, features. Well, the other thing I'll have to show you on how original this LL Bean is, they have not even fixed the side fixed glasses. You see, it still says symmetrical all-wheel drive, and that is what we have on this Subaru. You can take it off-road. It drives very well, and it will still drive very well on the on the tarmac. Now, there is something else I want you to hear about this vehicle. Now, Subarus are known to be noisy, quite noisy, because people tinker with the exhaust. But the LL Bean editions were meant to be very quiet and quite luxurious. So I want to start this vehicle, and I want you to listen to how quiet this Subaru is. That is how quiet this LL Bean is. Well, it is not a fast vehicle. This particular one is not fast. And in fact, you can see this is a slow version because it does not even have discs at the back. It has drums. But the reason why this one is special is that because it's among the few LL Beans that we have left in Kenya today. And Eric Muli of Identity Rides is selling it for 800,000 Kenya shillings. I told you, to find clean Foresters these days, especially the SGs, it's an uphill task. And if you have one, keep it. And if you're having a Forester SG project, the first thing, you'd rather buy it with a knocked engine or even without a gearbox, but make sure you have a clean body. That is the most important thing. And if you want to know how expensive this LL Bean interior is, try look for an LL Bean seat for an SG5 online. You will see how much they are going for, because they are quite rare. Manze, hizi viti ni kama maziwa ya kuku bana, hazipatikani. Anyway, I hope this has been an insightful review. Remember to subscribe to the channel. Also like this video, and remember, Wasewa Uganda, we have a surprise for you guys. Yes, tuko na surprise tunataka but we'll mention it in the subsequent episodes. And also, we have an Auto Connect meetup coming soon, guys. And on the next episode, we are going to tell you more about it. In fact, we have a very, 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 very interesting lineup towards the month of October. We have very interesting cars that we are going to bring in, cars that you guys are going to really love. So I've been your host, Eric Wakabi, Eric with a CK. Remember, you can follow me at a personal level on Facebook, X, TikTok, and Instagram as well. So over and out. See you on Tuesday. Tuone mahali trupa imefika. Over and out, guys.